There is a world all around you, filled with creations that will amaze. A world of destinations that astound. A world waiting to be explored. Come and discover the unseen world. On today's episode of The Unseen World, the town of Erwin, Tennessee reckons with its past. And then, one man keeps the past alive by opening a Lunchbox museum.
Erwin is a really cool small town. I would say it's kind of like taking a step back in time when you come to Erwin. You just go down Main Street and you have these beautiful old buildings, and things are just a little bit slower here, I would say.
Of course, the landscape is beautiful. We have the Appalachian Trail, the Nolichucky River, and all kinds of mountain trails.
It's great. It's a small town. Of course, since we've been in business almost 25 years now, we know everybody, or feel like we do.
You know, you could go anywhere and you say, hey, I'm from Erwin, Tennessee. And they're like, Erwin, that sounds familiar. And then they'll take them, oh, that's the town that hung the elephant. And you're like, yes.
And we have been stuck with that story that we're the town that killed the elephant since 1916. My name's Harry Lewis. I've lived here in Erwin and Unicoi County for 73 years. And when I was growing up here, it was a railroad town, Clinchfield Railroad. My wife's father was the traffic manager for the Clinchfield Railroad. The CSX Railroad eventually bought the Clinchfield out. I think the Clinchfield was mainly for moving coal from up in Virginia south to fire the power plants.
For over 100 years, the CSX Railroad was the major industry in Erwin. But in 2015, the railroad closed. The loss was devastating for the small town.
I'm Teresa Lewis, co-owner of Plant Palace Florist, married Harry Lewis, the wild man you just talked with, and lived here ever since. Well, it affected all of us. A lot of families, the husbands that were laid off would go on to Knoxville. Quite a few of them went to Knoxville. We have some still that commute, that actually took apartments in Knoxville or Nashville to work with CSX there. And they left their families here, and they just go down, work the week, and come back on the weekends, which is hard.
It hurt a lot of families.
In an attempt to recover from this economic blow, a group of community members banded together to create Rise Erwin, a group dedicated to the economic development of the town. Riley Scott was one of those people.
When we started, it was just, what do we do for this town? You know, it's kind of dark right now with the railroad shutting down. What do we do to move forward? And of course, we had all these lists and everybody had all the same ideas of new businesses and everything. And I specifically remember sitting at one meeting, again, for hours and hours when we're exhausted, just coming up with these ideas. And our current Rise president at the time, Jamie Rice, she was like, you know, the 100th anniversary of the Mary the Elephant's Hanging is coming up in September, and this was probably early spring. And she was like, maybe we should do something for that. And of course we were like, what, are you crazy? Like, we're gonna celebrate this hanging of the elephant? And boom, it never ended from there.
The Unseen World will be right back. We now return to The Unseen World. The story of Mary the Elephant starts about 40 miles outside of Erwin, Tennessee in Kingsport. The same Clinchfield Railroad that had been the lifeblood of Erwin, Tennessee's industry for so long also played home to Sparks' world-famous shows, a traveling circus. According to most versions of events, the circus had just hired a new and inexperienced elephant handler, Red Eldridge. One day, on the way to get some water, Mary became distracted by some watermelon and stopped walking. The inexperienced handler prodded her in an attempt to get her to move. Mary's reaction was violent, and she trampled her new handler to death. In shock, the fearful crowd reacted by calling for Mary's execution. Mary the Elephant was placed under arrest, and it was decided that she must be put down in the only way they could at the time, hanging. And the only town with a crane big enough to accomplish this feat was the nearby Erwin, Tennessee. A harrowing picture of the moment was captured, and to this day makes the rounds on the internet with the infamous story of Erwin, Tennessee, the town that hung an elephant.
You know, Rise's vision was, okay, how do we change that story? We can't change history, but we can change the memories that people have of Erwin, and we can turn it into a brighter light for Erwin. So initially, I guess people probably thought it was a little crazy, like we've hidden this or we've buried it for all these years, 100 years, like what are we doing now? We're going to talk about elephants again? So I think people were a little skeptical of it at first, but then once we got these beautiful painted statues from local artists and we placed them downtown, I mean, it was the talk of the town. We got the elephants, and that's when we decided we were going to do it as a charity benefit for the Elephant Sanctuary in Hohenwald, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville. It's not open to the public. It's just where the retired circus elephants go to live a happy, peaceful life. So we called up Hohenwald, the Elephant Sanctuary, and said, hey, we're sorry about Mary. We want to make it better. So we auctioned off these elephants and we raised thousands of dollars for the Elephant Sanctuary.
Oh, I thought it was cool. You know, I like the idea because the whole thought behind that was that if they could raise money through the statues, that they would send it to the Elephant Sanctuary, which, you know, elephants got a bad rap. I think it's, you know, as far as being in a circus or contained, it's really unfair to them to start with, and then, you know, to mistreat one and have it act like an elephant and then kill it, that's too bad. But I was thrilled. And the parade, the first year was awesome. A lot of the kids were involved, and it was a nighttime parade. And of course they brought Big Mary down the street on a float.
I think it helped bring people to town. It put more feet on the street, and me being a merchant downtown, I felt like that could be a positive thing. And it also took a negative thing that this town had been tagged with and put a positive spin on it.
People, I mean, kids love them. I mean, there was constantly people on the streets. The downtown merchants, they became storytellers because so many people were coming in and asking about these elephants. I mean, there were people from all over, not just, you know, East Tennessee, but North Carolina, Virginia, everywhere. It's become a nationwide story now. You know, when we were meeting and trying to decide how we're going to move forward with Erwin, the elephant revival was a big deal, but also we were like, I mean, we have all these mountains and these rivers around here. The Appalachian Trail runs right through Erwin. So how about we bask on all of that? I mean, we have it here. It's gorgeous. So that led to a lot more opportunities with just inviting people to come to our town just to enjoy the outdoors, because it's the perfect place to enjoy mountain biking, kayaking, camping, fishing. So it's definitely led us to do other opportunities.
In addition to the elephant statues dotted around Main Street, there are lots of things to see and do in Erwin, Tennessee. For more events and reasons to visit Erwin, head to erwintn.org. The Unseen World will be right back. We now return to the Unseen World.
I'm Alan Woodall here in Columbus, Georgia. I'm the curator of the Lunchbox Museum here in Columbus, Georgia. Wow, way back in the 80s. I started in the 80s collecting because I collect antiques. I collect antiques and collectibles. So I'm an antique, I'm 85. Anyway, I was at an antique show in Atlanta, Georgia. In fact, it was a big flea market at the Lakewood Fairgrounds in Atlanta back in the mid 80s. And one of the vendors had on their table 3 lunch boxes. There was a Green Hornet lunchbox, a Batman and Robin lunchbox, and a Dick Tracy lunchbox. And I saw those lunchboxes, and immediately it just brought back memories of when I used to listen on the radio in the 40s, in the 1940s, to the Green Hornet on radio. There was serials, and then Dick Tracy was also on the radio. There were serials way back then. And so it just brought back great memories. And I looked at the lunchboxes and I liked the artwork. And I said, this is great pop art. So I ended up buying all 3 of the lunchboxes. And that was kind of the beginning. Then I started wondering, well, I wonder how many different lunchboxes are there? Somewhere around 1988 or 9, I heard about a big collection of lunchboxes that was for sale up in St. Louis, Missouri. And it belonged to a professor of psychology up there. His name was Robert Carr. And he also did a lot of history on researching how many lunchboxes, different lunchboxes were made by what companies like Aladdin and King Sealy and the different companies that made lunchboxes. And so he had done quite a bit of work. And I heard that Bob Carr had passed away and that his collection would probably be for sale. So I flew to St. Louis, and it was in December, and it was snowing the day I got there. And Ms. Carr picked me up at the airport, and we went to her home, and all the lunch boxes and thermoses were in the basement. And I had a ball looking at everything, and there was about 600 pieces. And after looking at everything, making a lot of notes, then I said, Ms. Carr, I'd love to have the collection. I know you've got other people interested, but I think I might do something that nobody else would probably do. And she said, well, what's that? I said, well, if you will sell me the collection, I'll write a book on lunch boxes, and the dedication will be to your husband, Dr. Carr, and the family. And with that, she thought about it, talked to her daughter, and said that, Mr. Woodall, we're going to sell you his collection. The metal lunch boxes, the encyclopedia of metal lunch boxes, and the dedication in the book is to the Carr family. That really started off a lot of real interest in collecting lunchboxes.
Stay tuned. The Unseen World will return. We now return to the Unseen World. Woodall lent his extensive knowledge of lunchbox history to the creation of the encyclopedia.
So actually back in 1952, Hopalong Cassidy was really considered the first collectible metal lunchbox, and there was a picture of Hopalong Cassidy on a blue lunchbox, and the picture was about this big, which was the size of the TV screen, most TV screens back in the early 50s. And so what happened, the kids that were buying the lunchboxes said, hey, I've got to have this. They take it to school with them. Of course, they take the lunchbox to school with them. They were taking that TV show to school with them. So what happened when Hopalong Cassidy got on the lunchbox, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, then all the early characters that were on television. Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. It started with all of that, and then it went on up to the $6 Million Man, the Beverly Hillbillies, and I mean, you name it. 007, Agent 007, and G.I. Joe, everything ended up being on lunchboxes because the kids were taking that TV show to school with them, and what a great marketing tool. And so it ended up that Rambo is considered the last collectible lunchbox. And the reason that happened, a group of mothers down in Florida in the early 80s went to the state legislature and said that, hey, we've got to outlaw these lunchboxes. They're dangerous weapons. Kids are fighting with them. And the kids, I don't think they were really fighting with them. I think they were really banging them up whether they make sure they got a new one the next year. And they wanted that next TV show. They wanted that lunchbox. And so Mom wasn't going to buy it if their lunchbox was in good condition. So anyway, they went to the state legislature and they outlawed metal lunchboxes in Florida first, and then that spread all over the United States, state by state. And they went from making the metal lunchboxes to molded plastic boxes. And so that was kind of the end of the collectible metal lunchboxes.
Even though the era of collectible lunchboxes may be over, the magic of them can still be experienced at the museum.
These lunchboxes are like little time capsules. When people come into the museum to see the Lunchbox Museum, they'll walk down through the aisles, and many of the people some of them don't remember the box that they had when they were in school, but all of a sudden they see that box and they will say, "That's superheroes, that was my box, I found my box." So they get a smile on their face and brings back a lot of great memories. And the neat thing about the museum is any duplicate that we have, if it will bring back a memory to someone and they would like to have that box, we will actually sell the duplicates that we have in the museum. So it's worked out great. It brings back a lot of memories. Many people that find the lunchbox, they remember the lunchbox they had. And then when they find it on the shelf and they can pick it up and look at it and feel that lunchbox, it's just a real reward to me to see how happy it really makes a person, bringing back those memories.
To see the magic of the Lunchbox Museum for yourself, head to Columbus, Georgia. It is open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Admission is $5. For more information, visit therivermarketantiques.com or call 706-653-6240. Have you explored a location featured on today's episode of The Unseen World? Then share your stories with us and join the conversation at #SeeUnseenWorld on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you know of a hidden gem, roadside attraction, or any other interesting location you think deserves to be uncovered, visit SeeUnseenWorld.com to make a suggestion to our producers.
It's good.